Yeah, hello there. This is a video to show foundation for my shed storage. It's around about 12 by 24. Um, the city, we have to make the plans and send it to the city, and city approved it. And now I'm stuck of making this foundation that I've never done before. Never did rebar or concrete before. So I had to gather a lot of information in order for me to come to this stage, and I was so happy today when the city inspector came and looked at it and said, "Oh, this looks good," uh, and it's very obvious that you did some work to it. So I just going to make this video in order to help some people like me, homeowners who's trying to make things themselves and not stuck with a huge bill of making something. I'm just going to go around to give a sense about it, and then I'm just going to go and talk about different aspect of it from the beginning till where I'm standing right now. As you can see, I'm just going around the rebar and the corners of it, along with different corners, and there is was a plan to do some sort of a drainage for a sink, but this one I'm gonna put on hold for now. So I just capped it up and capped it on the other side. We're gonna get the water from the house, and then the drain is gonna go to connect to the main sewer of the house. But at this point, we just said, let's leave it for now. Um, Again, one of the information I have to look for is that how deep do you go in order to be under the frost line. In the area that I live, for the sewer it has to go around about 4 feet, and then for the water, as you can see, it's insulated. We went 3 feet, although it's insulated. So that's one of the things also that I have to find an answer for. Uh, the beginning, as if I show the difference between the rest of the grade and the slab, it will tell you, it will show that is the slab is technically, it has to be 6 inch above grade, and so technically we have to dig out the foundation roughly around about 6 inch also under the grade in a way. I'm not sure, I think it went down more than that, but it had the problem first. So this is the main problem, to dig it out, to take out the topsoil. Some of the problem that comes out with topsoil is that you have to remove 2 trees, all 2 trees, and then you have to bring somebody to do the stump grinding, and they use a machine, I think, to do that, but that machine goes down around about 6 to 8 inch. But then when you dig out the topsoil, you already went down 6 inch, so you'll here comes, you just have the rest of the stump sitting there. So you have to dig it out. That was a problem. But you need to use the old type of pickaxe, axe, and a shovel in order to dig it out. That step was out, and we get it down to take all of the amount of topsoil that came out of it. I still have a pile of it sitting here to give a sense. Then you will have to also use other tools in order to make like back to the conduit here, and the trench is a 4 feet trench. That was hard, and you can get somebody to have an excavator and dig it out for you, and charge you for that, or you can do it yourself, whatever works for you. But for me, I did it myself, and what worked best for me was your all. The best thing was having a bose digger and what they call a drain spade. Those guys work very, very fine. And also the other one that is really helped was to have the old digging bar. I have one in the back there, 5 foot, because you're gonna hit rocks, and some of these rocks is very hard to break, and it's very hard to take out. So quite an experience. I might have thought it over, but that's was the main obstacle that I have to run to. Anyway, that went through. We did that one. Now we came to the getting the boards from your local building store. I don't mind. I go to Bose, Home Depot, Lowe's, or wherever that you find a good deal. So in order to come up with a 12 by 24, you need to have. I got 4 boards. I'm connecting them here by 2 by 4, so on this side and on the other side. So that's your 4 boards, and on the both edges that I can't go with the 2 by 10 by 12, so I have to go by 2 by 10 by 16 and cut it slightly longer than you have to give a gap for 1.5 inch on both sides, so you're 3 inch, and I cut it longer here. Somewhere I found out that it's might make it more stable if you make it longer on both, not at least on one side or the other side across. And here's the surprising part. So you go to Home Depot and buy your 2 by 10 by 12 and 2 by 10 by 16, expecting they're 2 by 10 by 12. And they are not really 2 by 10, they are 2 by 9.5, and 12 is not really 12, it was longer than 12. So 12.5. The other one, I need the 16 inch anyway, I have to cut it anyway, but the 12 I wasn't expect to cut it. But anyway, double check the measurement, because you might need to cut before you joint, and then all of a sudden you have one side 25.5 and the other side is 24 3/4, whatever it is. So anyway, another tip that you have to do after you connect the boards, again, in the corners here I can show that's your regular construction screws, 3 inch. I went like 4 of them, 5, whatever work for you. I think 4 will be more than killing it, but I went ahead with some areas 4, some areas 5, as much as I feel like it's going to support it, secure it. And here comes the second obstacle. How can you, after you connect this 12 by 24, how can you level it? So 2 options. You can get a laser level if you own one, or you can rent one, and also you have to know how to use it. So money. And then I have to try to look out, see if there is more information, there is better way of doing it. And then I found out I can go on with something called a water level. If you look online, you will get more information about what is a water level, but apparently it is been around since the pharaohs used it to build the pyramid. So very accurate, and I have to admit it is very accurate. I use it. You get a clear PEX tube, and you put water inside and some food coloring, and you start from one corner. In my case, I started from this corner. It was easy for me to measure the 6 inch above grade by from here, and then work the other corner, this corner, that corner, and then come back to that corner. So the tube has to be long enough for it to do the. You can buy like 50 feet and cut it into half and get 25 feet or longer. Actually, no, I think you need roundabout more than. In my case, I got roundabout. I think I got 50 feet and I made, I got 30 feet out of it and left another 20 feet untouched. Uh, Before leveling it, the other important thing is to come up with what we call how to make the corner 90 degrees, and I think there is also 3 4 5 work fine using that rule, and you have to put some brace across to secure it so it will stay the same thing. Also, you're gonna measure it across from this corner to that corner and the other way around, so in a way that you will find that you have a nice good box in place. So you level it, you have the corner secure, and securing the corner, I found out that again, another information you gather online is this tool here. Very, very great tool. It's called a nail metal stick. It's around about 3 feet. It has holes in it, and once you drive it down, it goes down around a feet and a half or something like that. So when you're holding this heavy board, when it's leveled, in order to secure it in place, you will put 2 screws on both sides, on this side and on the other side, and it will just hold it in place. I will do that in the 4 corners. I added more sticks that I made myself. Again, you can go and buy them, pay the extra bucks, but you can do it yourself. You just get your regular 1.5 sticks. Uh, it's an old one here, and use a jigsaw in order to make it sharp at the edge, and I just drive it around. I use as many of them as possible to also secure the whole thing. Is I'm going to get when the time for us to pour the concrete, I'm going to go into the to get the bigger stakes in order to have more support, and this is like 1 by 1, 1.5 by 1.5, sharp at the edge to have more security. So just to keep it in place, you don't want your work to go into to open up the forms when you start pouring concrete, and that will be even a problem. So that was done. Did the foundation, did the forms, and yes. Other thing is, because you can see it's a bit loose right now, but I just had some sort of a string going around, and I'm it's a bit loose right now, but I'm going to tighten it up. That's just going around all of the box, and mainly to make sure that by the time when you start pouring the concrete, and if you feel like the forms is moving backward, this is when when I tighten it up, it's going to be sitting like that. Then you will feel like it is getting closer, it's moving back and forth, and then you can use more sticks to hold it in place so that it doesn't move. That's one thing that I'm using. We came to the next level down, and now it is you have a box leveled, dug down to roundabout. I can with the forms, you can see in the forms down there is down about almost foot down, including the form. uh, what we're using here, we're using what they call an air gravel, which still have some remaining here. So it's mix of gravel, 3/4 gravel, and rock sand, rock dust, I mean, or fine rock sand, whatever it is. And then you need to put it in place. Here come the other thing. You have to have a very good wheelbarrow. Don't uh, don't get cheap on the wheelbarrow. Buy the best wheelbarrow you can find out there uh, to move this stuff in. Stuff is heavy. That you'll buy, the dump truck will just throw it in the front of your house, and you'll need to wheelbarrow it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, uh, making a ramp here in order for me to go on top. And then you spread it around, but then you wanted to make sure that it is around about 4 inch. Um, Again, another information I got online is that what you do is that you will buy a 2 by 6 by 10, and you can see that I am tying a 2 by 4 on this side and on the other side, and it will sit on top, and then when you move it back and forth, it will level uh, the ground for you. It's hard, but you will do it. And then once level the ground, then you have exactly, it's not 6 inches, 5.5. Um, then you have to back it in, and what I use, again, a manual compactor. These things work very fine, and then just back the whole thing in. After that, you will have to dig a 1 foot trench, which is here, in order to put the rebar. There is this type of a long one. It's very, I don't know, sometimes they call it. This is not different type of shovel, but it is. They work very fine in doing the trench around. So you got the trench around and all of this, and then you look at the plan, and then the plan says that you have to have 2 layers of 10 millimeters. Sometimes it will tell you exactly how far it should be, but it has to be uh, running down and running up, and so, and then you will see that also online that some people, they use small pieces of rebar, and they drive it down to the ground and then tie to it, so that it will go in, and then you will tie one down and tie the one up. The problem with that is that you will have a risk of introducing rust to the whole foundation later on, unless you use a rebar that is coated to prevent. But even that, I'm not sure how strong it can. It's, it can keeping the rust out. When you're doing all of this work, you want it to be at least sustained for a long time. So anyway, I went ahead and I got what they call rebar seats. I think this one have a better picture of it, and it has 2 levels uh, for the one down that's running, and then the one running across, that is when you come in the corner here, the one coming across will have to sit on top of the other one. I think that's a better picture of this here. But then the question was, how can I secure the top 2 rebar lines to the one down? And think it over, what to do, and then it hit me one day that when I realized that the mesh wire I'm using is exactly 6 inch. So if I get one mesh wire and cut it here, 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 and here, and here, and here, I'll have a nice seat that I can tie the one down and tie the one up, sit on top of each other. And that's what I did. So it's running across, I'm spacing it out around about 3 feet to hold it, and it's, as you can see, it's holding the 10 millimeter very well. The other thing, if you look also, you have to keep at least 4 inch from the board to the rebar, mainly to you want the rebar not close to the edge of the concrete. So 4 inch is a good. So you have your 4 inch here and you have your 6 inch in between. To tie the rebar, you can use a rebar tie. I went ahead with the old wire, rebar wire, and actually it worked fine because I can use it later on to tie the wire mesh on top of that, and then to tie the anchor bolts. Then after you finish with the rebar going around, and again you have to remember one goes down and the one that come on top, it has to sit on top, not underneath, so the one down will carry the weight of the one up somehow. uh, the next thing was, I have a list of things here, I'm going through them so that I won't forget. The mesh wire, as you can see, that it will go and then it will tie to the rebar, to the first rebar, not to the second one. The problem was after you can tie the whole thing. So there's two type of mesh wires. You can buy the roll, which is 5 by 50. That was hard. I went that round, but that was very hard to unroll compared to the one that you can buy 4 by 8, which is easy to place, but it's more money. Again, it's two choices. Uh, then you don't, when you tie the mesh wire will be sitting here in the middle and it's just gonna fall down on top of your egg gravel, and you wanna, when you pour the concrete, you don't want it just to lay down there. You want it to do the job that what it's supposed to do, which is be in the middle of the concrete to give you the support that you need. So to hold it up, they can use, I think some people say that Dobbies, I couldn't find them. So what I went is I made my own, just cut pieces of concrete blocks and put a wire around them, tie them, and then tie them to the rebar. So they stuck to the rebar, but throughout they go and they are holding the mesh wire up, so it won't fall down. Come to the other thing, which was my main headache, was anchor bolts. Okay, I give you a side view here of my anchor bolts. J tube, so J anchor bolts. Question was, first, how can I hold them to the forms? You can buy ones online, different brand. I think there is one of them is called, I don't know, I forgot the name of it, but anyway, almost $1 something each, that if you find them, couldn't find them actually, and then I went and I made my own seats, which is, I use a lot of these sticks that I used earlier. Got a piece, have a 3-inch stick holding it together, so when they sit, technically they are higher than the foam, or they're higher than the edge of the concrete, and that more or less it will be your sill plate later on. So that's what I went with it. What's happening here is that we're where the nut and the washer, saw somewhere in line there, to cover them with foil in order to prevent the concrete to stick to them when you are boring the concrete later on. And also after that, what you do is that you will tie them to the rebar so that they will be staying straight and nice, that they will not wiggling around. when you are pouring the concrete. Uh, the other thing was how far uh, will they sit from the edge of the concrete. If assuming this is the edge of the concrete, this is your sill plate, so where is this anchor bolt is going to sit? They say that 2 inch. Well, they take the rule, I think, that I looked online and they say that it's like 5 times size of your anchor bolt. This is half inch, so 5 times that is 2.5. We're gonna use a sill. We're gonna use 2x6 when we build the storage or the shed later on. So it's 2x6. That's your 5.5 real. So halfway in the middle, that is 2x75. So that's exactly where it's gonna come up. Sill plate I'm gonna use pressure treated mainly because you don't wanna have your regular wood sitting on concrete. It will rot. So unless you insulate it using some sort of some again, there's some people they use tar paper or they will use some, but I said to myself I'm gonna, and I'll pay the extra bucks, and for the sill plate I'll use pressure treated, the rest will be regular wood. uh, what else? Okay, oh yeah, so the length of the anchor bolt, that was another big question that I needed to have an answer for. This is a 6 inch. Okay, so how did I come to that? So again, have to look a lot for a lot of information. What it says is that you have to have at least 2 inch embedment in the concrete, and then you will add to that 1.5 inch, which is length or the width of the sill plate, and then you will add another inch, half inch for the nut and the washer on top of that. So you do the math, that comes at 2 plus 1.5 plus a half. So yeah, say what's 1.5 plus a half, that's 4. And to give it the, so I went with the 6, you know. I said I have almost 8, 10 to 12. His slab is going to be at the end, so why not? So I went with the 6, but it depends towards how thick the slab and all of that, but that's the rule that I followed. Uh, Yeah, and also don't make the mistake of putting anchor bolts where your door is going to be costly mistake, because then you have to come and cut it later on. So you have to space them right. That's another thing. Um, the plan says that the anchor bolt has to be at least 3 feet apart. If you do 3 feet, unfortunately, there will be anchor bolt that is going to fall immediately where your studs is going to be. So 3 feet was out of the question. You just put a measure tape and look at 3, 6, and you will find that where it's going to fall. And then another tip I found that is that when you start your first anchor bolt, you have to start it at 12 inch from the edge of the concrete. And then I went from there, I decided I'm going to go with 2 feet. And that did the job for me in a way that is every 2 feet. And then I will stop where is the opening, there is no anchor bolt. And then the anchor bolt again on the other side, and you will start as 12 inch, and then I'll go 2 feet from there. So that is the dilemma of the anchor bolt when you came to that. Uh, that was took some time for me to get it. And here come the last portion, uh, the concrete. So you can buy concrete from the concrete mixer guys, and they will ask you how much you need and whatever it is, and you have to give them you have to do your math, you have to do your measurement and all of this, and I did all of that, and I need around about, it comes about 4, I think 5 ton, 4 meter or something like that. Anyway, square meter. and they buy them out, different companies. You buy them out, or this and that, and all of that, and say, okay, why not? I'll do that. I'll just pay the amount. So, do you have a shoot? Oh no, we don't have a shoot. We're just gonna bring it's a small job. We're not gonna give you a shoot. You just have to have um, use a wheelbarrow and carry the concrete from the truck from the front of your house to the back. And oh, by the way, we can't keep the trucks waiting for like 5 hours. You need to hire some guys, at least 3 of them with wheelbarrows, to get the concrete as fast as you can. And we don't know. We don't keep our truck waiting. So you bring the big box, and they're also telling you how you need to do it. And it was an obstacle. It was hard, Like what you're gonna do is like you came that close. You did all of this work and all of this, and now you're going to do what? So I'm going to go the old-fashioned way. Yeah, you're going to have your 3/4 gravel. I have 36 bags of 40 kilos of Portland cement in the front. The sand is going to be delivered on Monday, and I'm going to mix it. The question is how I'm going to mix it. I bought a concrete mixer, so it's covered there, but that's